For this podcast, there's a lot of times where I will have something planned. I'll have a structure. I'll be like, yeah, we're going to do it this way, and I'm going to be so good, and I'm going to plan ahead of time, and it's not going to take that much time. And then space events just happen, and they completely take over my thought process. So we're going to do another episode where we're going to cover the stories from May and kind of stuff I want to pick out. I gather these things all the time throughout the day as I get alerts and as I'm looking stuff up for space. So, there's a lot of times where it just kind of there's just so much going on that it's hard to keep up with it. So this is one of those weeks where I'm going to take another week to do that and instead talk about some of the latest stuff. Like the rocket ship pen is something I'm spending a ton of time on. The other thing that happened last week since the last episode is the NASA panel that live streamed for about 4 hours. About 30 minutes of it was them breaking for lunch. But there was a 4 hour meeting with a bunch of individuals and experts, cosmologists, astrophysicists, astronauts. Scott Kelly was on this board there, and data scientists. There's someone from the FAA. There was as they stated, a recovering lawyer. So there was a lot of different folks on this panel for UAPs, or as most people know it, UFOs. And aliens and unidentified flying objects or unidentified anomalous phenomena, it's something that is super exciting, and we here, me, myself, I'll speak for myself here, I of course would love to find out if there was alien life out there in the universe. So I was definitely interested in, while I'm sitting in traffic going to work during the week, listening to this first discussion. Now, don't get me wrong, it was extremely dry. And, it's kind of something anyone who works in a STEM field who has to gather data or do a report on something and present data or evidence to back up the decision that you're trying to have people make as a team. In this case, NASA is being tasked with being able to analyze the unknown, right? Something that NASA does very well. That's part, going into the unknown is the reason why we went to the moon in the first place. It's the reason why we have the New Horizons spacecraft that flew by Pluto. It's the reason why we have all the rovers on Mars, and we're trying to see if there was life there. We found definitely evidence of water. And then the next question is, are we finding life? And so it actually isn't that far of a stretch, and this was kind of what they were saying at the beginning of this UAP meeting, was that, this is something that is well suited for NASA. Now, a few things came up in this. I do want to do like a quick review of it in a future episode here. So what I want to do right now is ask you your thoughts. I want to know, have you been following this? Did you even hear that NASA did this meeting? Are you into the UAP topic? Are you interested in the search for life out there? Do you think that this stuff is a scam? Like, I'm interested in all the different ways. If you're a listener of the show, we talk about space. To me, if Carl Sagan was alive right now, he would be on this panel, and it would be so fascinating to have him, the author of Contact, right? A very influential book, a book that I'm finally, listening to, because reading books is very difficult for me. And I have a lot of time in traffic to kill. So I've been going through Contact for the first time as an adult. I've seen parts of the movie that was made, but, was I really aware of what I was watching? No. So, I've been getting into it. I've been wanting to do an episode on alien life and my thoughts, and also ask questions of you guys and share that as well. So what I'd like to do right now, like I just said, tell us what you think. Hit us up on social media. Today in Space Podcast at gmail.com is our email. Today in Space Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Today in Space on TikTok, and our Facebook page, which is growing rapidly thanks to the Facebook reels that are hitting out there of our Space in a Minutes. We're almost at 1,000 followers there, so that's amazing. But you can check us out, Today in Space Podcast, on Facebook. And yeah, we want to know what you think. I know I talk with a lot of y'all in DMs on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. So let us know. We want to share that on the episode. If you want to share your thoughts, please hit us up, and let's get into this UAP topic. I think two of the takeaways that I'll share from that 4-hour investigation is there's NASA and then there's AARO. And AARO is the arm of the government that's been tasked with breaking down the classified documents that go through. And the big distinguisher here on classified information and the UAP sightings that we've seen from that have been leaked out of the military and confirmed and all that, if an F-35 strike fighter, right, the advanced next generation fighter jet that the U.S. has, if that takes a picture or a video of something, it's classified, even if it's, they said the Statue of Liberty was one of the things that they said. If it's, it's not the Statue of Liberty is classified, but if the instruments, the metadata that comes with whatever video you're taking or you're showing how the system actually reads it, that's classified because we don't want to share secrets about how the F-35's system works or what's the HUD displaying. All these types of things. It's an interesting aside to part of the reason why it's been tough for this stuff to surface, although I'm not convinced that's the whole story. Regardless, that's one aspect, the classified nature. AARO is the one that's parsing that out and sharing a wide scope of that information and then passing it and sharing it with NASA, who is going to be doing the public aspect of it. And more specifically, NASA is trying to figure out how in the public domain we can gather data of these sightings, but also develop instruments that are calibrated for observing these UAP. And one interesting thing that came up in this first meeting is the potential of using all of our cell phones and having apps, potentially sensors. There's a bunch of things that these phones are sensing. If there can be, let's just say, some app that gets distributed to the community where people can become citizen scientists whenever there's a UAP and point their cell phones, point their cameras, take sound, location to basically ping and tell a whole bunch of other people, hey, there's this thing out there that we're looking at, point your phones at this, here's where it is, let's all gather data. And the meeting was so dry because they were talking about the data. They were talking about what good data is. And as someone who's done this exercise in my day job, in a more professional level, and I've also done it in academia, through my getting my STEM degree, it was really good to see. And it was very interesting to hear the different thought processes. I like seeing the scientific process in action. And granted, it's just the first meeting, and we didn't hear from everybody, but we did hear from some people, and it's good to hear people just scientifically discussing the possibilities and the things that could trip us up and make us think that we're observing something that actually isn't there or is just due to the way things are being, taken data-wise. So do I think there's going to be any crazy revelations right away? No. But this is all, if this is going to actually be successful and this data gathering and all this stuff, having good data is huge. So I liked where it was going. Apparently the public is going to get more involved in this, so we will definitely try and get involved in this and share thoughts and potentially ideas and see if we can ask questions to this committee. I think it's a really interesting opportunity to explore the unknown and use the scientific method and thinking in order to do so. And the fact that it's in a public forum, I really like. So we live in a very strange world, folks, and I like seeing scientists start to take some leadership, even if it was thrust upon them, so with the responsibility. It's nice to see NASA do this and do it in such a public way. So I am excited to learn more. I'm sure there'll be plenty of conspiracy theorists who are upset, and there's going to be just as many scientific folk who are going to be upset, because there is definitely a stigma in the scientific minded folk about a definitive that we're alone, which I think is, we don't know. Just as it's scientific to say I don't know, the answer to the question, is there life out there, is to say it is no definitively. I don't believe that's scientific. So there's an opinion, and can you tell I'm hard nosed on one side of the issue? I'm on the issue of the possibility, unless it's extremely clear that it is 100%, or that there's nothing, or zero chance that there's anything. Uh, most things in life are never zero. So the search for life, I have never been someone to shy away and say that that is not possible. But I also want to use a scientific approach to deal with my obvious bias of wanting that to be true. So very exciting times. Please let me know what you think.